All right, we're going to start consent agenda. Items, we'll start with item C1, Mr. Pevick.
Hi, this is Kevin De Los Santos, the assigned planner for the case. I just spoke with Mr. Pevick and he is logging on right now, so he might be a minute or two, or it looks like he just logged on.
Okay. Just 1 sec, I'll pull up the plans.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yes, we do.
Hi, this is Zoran Pepic for 4015 Remitas.
Yes, so we only have one comment, and it's regarding the more variety of plant species to the landscape plan. And you have the landscape plan on there you go. That's, you just passed it. It's at the beginning. I think that's, let's see. Let's see. There, no, one more. One more. Okay, that's it, right? Is that?
Yes, so we prefer to keep it super simple. We're leaving all the landscaping on the rest of the property, but around the grass area and house, we're just going to do a mass planting of the sort of deer grass species that we listed. And it's just going to kind of create a border around the house on top of the stacked sandstone material.
And the olive trees are new?
Those 3 olive trees are new, yes.
I think I made the comment about it. So
Okay, Robert.
I would just a suggestion to
Mhm.
possibly look at adding more variety of it, but I think it's reasonable if you want to have a mass planting. That's fine with me. So I'm happy to move forward for it.
Okay, therefore we'll approve it then at the meeting. So you're good. You're good with us.
Okay, thank you.
So we're moving on to number 2. Is Paul Zink here?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, hi, Paul.
Hello, hello.
No, let's see. We had only 2 comments, and the main comment is to study alternative material for walkways, or consult with arborists to ensure the walkways remain ADA accessible. And I noticed in the landscape plan you address that, and I think that's what we were looking for. It's towards the end, right?
It's sheet 11 of the submittal that I put together. It's sheet L 1.0.
Okay.
And I think you have a slab, you have a patio, and then you have slab pieces, right? Like
Correct, because the tree is so valuable to us and the roots have already buckled the existing sidewalk that we are removing the sidewalk, we are making it wider, and we're growing it away from the tree. And then the planks of concrete that are going to be poured can be modified as the tree roots take it out of plumb, let's say. And I'm only going with that plank solution for up to the tree, I mean, through the whole tree canopy area. And then once we get to the patio by the doors, that'll be just all poured one slab of concrete with expansion joints, but not this 2-inch joint meant to allow for the flexibility of the roots.
Okay, it's good with me. Okay with you, Robert?
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay, all right. Like you see, we're very amenable today.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, you're good with us. Okay, so that completes the consent calendar.
Some kind of record.
Yeah, 8:59. We're good.
Is all set?
Yeah.
Okay, so we will now bring the SBAR meeting of May 20th, 2022 to order, beginning with item number 1, public comment. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on an item that is not on the agenda for today? If so, please raise your hand. Okay. All right, seeing no one and no one hand raised.
Hold on, that's out. So let me.
Okay.
All right, Alex, are you good now?
Yeah, I'm good now. Thanks.
All right, item number 2, the agenda status report.
We do have one change to today's agenda. Item number
5.
5 has asked, it's indicated they're not going to be ready for review today. So I would just recommend dropping that from today's agenda, and we will re-agendize it when they are ready.
Okay.
Do we need a motion to amend the agenda?
We can do it now, or during, you can adopt the agenda status report. So, or when we come up to you guys. Sure.
I'll make a motion to drop the item from the agenda, number 5, Mr. Road cultivation.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And also, just for board members' sakes, most of the people out here can't really hear us. There's no, audio. So project your voice, and/or anyone out there who can't hear and wants to can move up to this table if that's better for you. Okay, thank you. Item number 3, the minutes from May 6th, which is our last meeting. So we'll review those. So was that to return, or it was just the building department, basically?
No, they granted.
It was, I thought so, okay. Good job. Okay, item number 1.
Yeah, this is the one where the modification, landscape screening is required. What I wanted to do is to make it more official because it's a modification, and what language can we use to, like a certain, 2 years from now it's not removed, or somehow like, you know what I'm saying? Because we're allowing the cars to park almost on the sidewalk, right?
Yeah, say like the proposal does not affect,
No, I just want to stay in the future. I mean, but I'm not sure that wording is good enough. That landscape square is required as a
Condition
as
of
a
modification.
condition of the modification. About that. Is that okay, Alex? Are you taking notes?
I'm taking notes. Landscape screening required as a condition of the modification to soften appearance, or to take that part out?
That's good.
yeah,
Perfect.
that's good.
Great. Thank you.
David, can I get on the county employee or county applicant compliance? No, okay. Use my phone in that spot.
Number D, just the wording. Simplify architecture and make development more compact. Same things. Right. Okay. here I will change the order and put D, F, and G kind of in order. D and then F and then G, because we all talk about letters.
Sorry, which item are you on?
I went 5. Move F and G below D. Basically, move E down. Different font styles are acceptable, but consistent letter sizes must be. But letter sizes must be somewhat consistent. That's good enough.
Yeah,
Good?
yeah.
Okay.
Although, I think that letter E actually should move up above all of them. Because that was part of the issue we spent so much time on, is that the renderings didn't reflect the maximum size.
Okay, so
put that up near the top.
Yeah, we could, add B to the end of that one and combine those two.
Yeah, let's do that. Make it B and combine them.
Okay, so I have A, need clear description, blah, blah, blah. B is renderings for each location should depict maximum size, look to reduce where possible. Most of the sign and letter sizes appear too large.
I would be more direct. Reduce sizes proposed, not where possible. I think we were pretty clear about that.
Yeah.
Reduce.
Take out where possible.
Reduce maximum sizes. And then when we go to lettering, we go to different font styles are acceptable. But, letter sizes must be somewhat consistent.
Consistent.
Yeah. Maximum letter sizes must be somewhat consistent. And then we have the other F, some flexibility about that, and G kind of describes that. So.
Was there any text change to set parameters to allow flexibility in certain cases?
I think it's good.
And then F, individual pin mounted, that's fine.
When we say bring sample photos, is it clear that we're talking about signs of the proposed signs? Because they were proposing 4 and 5 foot letters, and we wanted to see samples of where they occur in Santa Barbara, in the South Coast.
Oh, so bring sample photos of existing signage in area, or
In the South Coast, or
comparable comparable signage in the South Coast.
Or within the community. Do we want them to go outside of Santa Barbara?
Yeah, within the community.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, this is the one with the tall garage.
Yeah,
Tall and long garage. Yeah, in the sloping side.
Yeah.
Yeah, D is good.
Okay. Okay, so make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
I'm recusing myself on this.
And I had to recuse myself from item 3. So, all right, good, thank you. Item 4, SBAR members informational briefings. Anyone have any news?
Not of interest.
All right, thank you. Item 5, staff update.
Just wanted to let you know there will be your denial of the fuel depot sign package was appealed. And so that is being packaged along with a neighbor or resident appeal of the signed certificate of conformance that was approved previously to the planning commission that will be heard on June 1st. So hopefully everything will get resolved by the planning commission at that time.
Okay,
And Mr. Chair, I do have something else
okay,
as well. I received a phone call from a gentleman named by Mr. Liskin. He lives out in the Hope Branch area. He is concerned about a particular property out there. I think the general crux of the conversation was he said that historic poles are up for the Hope Branch Association are out there until the end of the month. I did speak to the project planner and she said that the project will require county design review, but there's no application in yet. So I guess there is quite a bit in the incomplete letter. So I want to make you aware of it in case you wanted to informally visit the site when the poles are up. If you're interested, I could send out the information.
Yes, it would be nice to send also, not the formal application, but what are we looking at? You know, some drawing of elevation and plans. So when we look at the old signs, we know what we're looking at.
Okay.
Yeah, but they,
I'll
you don't have an application.
No, but just the render. It's just
I think there's a I think a CDH application. So I can
whatever
get
Hope
something
Branch
from
looked
the
at.
planner.
some kind of a drawing. Doesn't have to be official. But otherwise, we don't know.
I'll pass that information on to the board members. I just wanted to make you aware because it's likely that the polls will go down before we get an application.
Right.
Good idea.
So along those lines, you said it will require county review. What's the threshold for that?
It's
Because
on a
there are,
block top.
what's that?
It's on a block top.
Okay, so
I
in
don't-
general, because we've seen this before where things go through Hope Branch and they don't come here.
Correct.
Chris, there's two, so Hope Branch has 2 triggers for BAR. One is bluff top parcels and the other is ridgeline hillside.
Okay,
Everything else is exempt from county BAR and just goes through the Hope Branch.
all right, thank you. That's it, staff update. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda.
We have 2 items and we were both approved as submitted. And so I make a motion to approve the 4015 Ranitas Road in Hope Ranch and 892 Camino del Sur in IB.
I'll second it.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, we can now move on to our standard agenda, beginning with item number 1. This is the Chick-fil-A at Calle Real, request of Ed Hale, agent for Turnpike Lodges Limited Partnership, DBA Ramada, Santa Barbara, for further conceptual review of a new restaurant of approximately 2,504 square feet. The following structures exist on the parcel currently: a restaurant of approximately 7,000 square feet. The proposed project will require approximately 500 cubic yards of cut and 500 cubic yards of fill. It's a 1.4 acre parcel zoned C2 located at 4765 Calle Real in the Goleta area. Last heard March 18th of this year. So do we have the applicant here? Please state your name for the record.
Good morning. My name is Ed Hale. I'm with 4G Development and Consulting, and I'm here on behalf of both the property owners, Turnpike Lodges, as well as their prospective tenant, Chick-fil-A.
Okay, we have a number of comments. Do you think it would be best for me just to read through those, or do you want to take them one by one?
Whatever the chair's prerogative would be on that. So the first step would be to address the public comments. Is that?
No, I mean, our comments from last time.
Oh, I have those actually articulated on the presentation itself.
So then I'll just have you read each comment, show us how you addressed it, and then you can just kind of go through one by one if you want to do it that way.
That's kind of my intention in the presentation. So.
Okay. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much. So first of all, it's nice to be here in person and to look you in the eye here as opposed to online. I have with me Russell Hatfield. He's the principal with CHRO Architects. He is the architect of record on this project on behalf of Chick-fil-A. Also, Nicole Hurrian with Hurrian Associates, the landscape architect. And uniquely, she's a local resident here, so she didn't have to travel as far as we did to come to the meeting today. And then also online, we should have Carlos Arias, who is the principal development lead with Chick-fil-A, and he may be able to answer some questions if the board has as well. This is a follow-up to the board's earlier review of our conceptual site and building designs. We have, as a result of this, revised our building design, as well as we have enhanced or addressed some of the comments that came to you, or the comments that came to us from the board's meeting back on March 18th. So I'm pushing his, not moving. Oh, let's try that.
Battery just died.
Oh, you know what? I just turned it off. Try it back on again. Yeah, it's always right when it has to happen. If you want, can you do it from the board there?
I can do it.
Yeah, I can just give you.
Yeah, just let me know.
You bet. Thank you very much.
It works if you want.
Oh, it's the clicker.
It's the clicker.
Yeah. All right, so if you want to go to the next slide, then please. Thank you.
Maybe it's the computer that's frozen. There we go.
Well, maybe I can do it now. No, I'm still not. So if you could go back to slide number 3, please. Okay, so the comments that we received from the board were articulated in the minutes and so we're responding to those comments that were in the minutes. The board was concerned that the project didn't reflect the architectural character of the area, that it was too corporate in appearance. Also, that it was too automobile oriented, and that you desired for us to be more pedestrian friendly, including outdoor seating areas in connection to the street. And I think what you meant is that you wanted the outdoor seating areas and the connection to street to be more pedestrian friendly. Next slide, please. The landscaping was insufficient. You wanted more appropriate for the area. You wanted more naturalistic and to be have more variety. You asked us to study opportunities for more landscaping plantings in the parking lot. You asked us to study the hardscape elements. You were not happy with the material palette. You wanted to see more varied materials. You were generally happy with the drive-through, which we're happy to hear. We were happy to hear because really that is the most efficient way of laying it out. But you thought that the extent of the paving was excessive, and you asked us to look at how we might reduce or break up the paving. You asked for more and better screening, especially the parking lot from the street. We also took that to mean that you wanted to separate more separation between the dining areas and the public areas of the restaurant from the vehicle area use or vehicle use areas of the site itself. And you wanted to see better renderings in the plantings. So if you could go to the next slide, please. So our building is now we've used some simple massing, smooth plastered trowel walls. The details are articulated in wood and tile, which characterize much of the traditional contemporary architecture of Santa Barbara. With this in mind, we rendered the exterior skin of the building in a light colored smooth troweled plaster with a minimum of reveals. The canopy structures over the patio and dining area, as well as the drive-throughs, which were formerly a dark bronze steel with white steel soffits, which is our corporate standard, by the way, are now articulated in a single or double cantilevered steel frames. They're painted light gray and they feature natural wood plank soffits. If you can go to the next slide, please. One of the comments that we got from the board was the fact that it didn't seem to fit in with the architecture of the area. This is the building that's immediately adjacent next door where the drive-through for the Starbucks building is. And you'll see that we think that the styling, the smooth surface of the building, the way we've, the lack of articulation is actually consistent with what's next door. Next slide, please. The base of the walls adjacent to the patio dining area, as well as a shielding portion of the walkway from the western parking areas, are now finished with a modern version of a Spanish Talavera tile. You want to go to the next slide, please? To address the board's concerns about the site and building design being too vehicle oriented, we've provided additional pedestrian amenities, including a more inviting pedestrian entry off of the public sidewalk, special paving finishes at the pedestrian crosswalks in the parking lot and across the drive-through lane. And we've duplicated the sun and rain protection of the patio seating dining areas with a similarly styled cover over the pedestrian entrance over the right-of-way. Additional, next slide, please. Additional amenities include raised planters to provide visual as well as acoustical separation from the freeway, from Calle Real, and even the vehicle areas of the site. Enhanced paving and finishes, we talked about that earlier. We provided additional bike storage and an improved pedestrian circulation on the site, including a full path to the east of the building, accessing the disabled parking spaces and additional bike racks over there as well. So we have almost 3 times as much of the bicycle parking is normally required for a development this size. The canopy structures, as I said before, feature wood soffits and a light frame painting. It gives it a much more lighter feel. It's not so dark, and it's certainly not our corporate standard. This is will be a unique color palette for this store compared to our fleet. You can go to the next slide. Well, wait a minute. Can we back up, please? Yeah, there's a better look at the Spanish Talavera tile that's there on the right side of the building. Also, I think you can see the varied planting patterns that we put, or the plants that we put there to provide some visual screening to the vehicle areas, as well as to provide a more warm and inviting outdoor dining experience. There's visual separation of the patio dining area from the vehicle and parking areas. And I already mentioned the tile. Next slide, please. And the next slide, please. This on the lower right-hand corner there, you see the pathway that is now covered in partial by that Talavera tile wall there as an accent. You see natural wood planking in the tabletops and the patio dining areas as well. Next slide, please. So there's just a shot of the site plan. This site plan is not significantly different from what we presented to the board back in March. The main features of this is that we've added additional bike parking to the east of the drive-through exit. And we have added some additional landscaping fingers to break up the parking banks along Calle Real. And then we have moved some of the parking spaces to the northwest corner of the site and moved the transformer to that location. We took it out of the area where it was immediately to the west of the building. That kind of gives a more pedestrian-oriented experience for those that are parking and getting out of their cars on the west side of the building. That parking to the northwest corner of the building, that'll be a crew member or employee parking only. So it will not have an impact of vehicles trying to back out of that area during the drive-through operation. We'll have crew members that will be directing traffic if that's the case in order to get the crew members in and out of the parking area. But the idea there was to provide an area that would not have an active vehicle usage during the day. The western driveway is now an exit only driveway before we had that as a full service driveway. In our communications with the transportation group at the county, they strongly encouraged us to do that. We think that's fine because we understand that by not having people turning into there, we're going to further reduce the incidences of any vehicles slowing down to come into that area and possibly impacting traffic that's the through traffic that's heading on eastbound on Calle Real. Now, all of the vehicle traffic that is entering into the site will come into the right turn pocket before slowing down and decelerating into the and then turning into the driveway. Next slide, please. So the board had quite a bit to say about landscaping at the last meeting, and we didn't have our landscape designer with us to answer those questions. She's here with us now to answer those questions, but I can read what we have done thus far, and then of course, if you've got any questions, Nicole would be happy to answer those. The landscape design is intention was to mimic a more naturalistic theme which complements the surrounding area, bringing a variety of grasses, salvias, and lavender, as well as accent plantings such as agaves and aloes. This planting plan that we have now is much more varied, and it has a much more varied palette in terms of scale of elements and species. There are now 2 distinct rows of trees with different cadences fronting Calle Real. Beneath these trees, the canopy has informal groups of moderately high shrubs and grasses which screen the cars and the parking lot. Also, they serve to frame the views of the building for passersby. Note also here a better perspective on the canopy over the pedestrian entrance off of the right-of-way. Also note the varied concrete asphalt materials, that is paving changes rather than merely striping of the crosswalks. Next slide, please. In your package that you were distributed, you had a black and white landscaping plan. That was an unfortunate omission on our part. We're sorry about that, but here is the colored version of that. We can make that available, and I've sent that to our planner so he can distribute that as well. As you can see, I think we've done what we can with respect to the massing of the landscaping on the site. Excuse me, the massing of the asphalt. If you could go to the next slide, 2 slides down, 2 more, yeah. This is the site as it exists now. And you see 2 very large and massive asphalt areas in the east and the west. There's a rather inefficient use of that space there to the east, the smaller area of the triangle. If you could go back a couple slides now, please. Yeah, well, 1 more, please. So by putting the building where we have it and putting the drive-through on the back side, which is largely shielded from both Calle Real as well as where the pedestrians and the people that are parking their vehicles and coming into the building are coming, we think we've reduced the amount of massing there considerably. And then with the enhanced landscaping and some of those landscaping fingers that we've put in there, we think that we've done about as much as we can in reducing the massing of asphalt. Next slide, please. In your package, you should also have this exhibit, which shows that we've added additional asphalt concrete paving materials to kind of break that up as well. Breaks it up visually, of course. And we like the idea that by using a different asphalt material or concrete material for the crosswalks, that we give a much more elegant pedestrian experience as they're using those to cross the vehicle access areas. That concludes my formal presentation to the board. We certainly are here to answer any questions. As I said, we have the architect and the landscape designer. I'd just also like to say, we're not unaware that there are concerns in the community with respect to traffic. We also know that inevitably there's a connection between this project and what's going on down the street on State Street in the city. It was our intention to respond to the design. It was our intention to address the beauty. We believe the time will use issues, et cetera. But so far as the design is concerned, we're certainly willing to dab into that as well. With that, I'd invite the board's comments and questions.
Thank you for your presentation. Questions from the board?
Yeah,
Alex?
can you elaborate a little bit about the circulation within the site? You know, like what exactly is this? I mean, I understand that you come from it has being a triangular parcel, you're having a lot of challenges, right?
Yes.
You're coming on the narrow area on the acute
Well,
part of the triangle, and you have to circulate around. But I was kind of wondering how do you get to this setup exactly?
So all drive-throughs, the most efficient use of any real estate space with a drive-through operation is a counterclockwise movement of the vehicles. That puts the driver's window at the point of the order point as well as the food delivery point, so that when you have a customer who's in a car all by themselves, then they have immediate access to the employee. So we always start with a counterclockwise orientation unless we can't make that work. The site circulation on this is not unlike what is there now. The primary, and in fact now the exclusive entry, will be at the far end of the property, which will now put all of the vehicles in a circulation pattern on the site. So there's very little weaving. That's a transportation term you may be aware of. Very little weaving when it comes to figure 8 crossing within the site, because now everybody who's coming in to park can come down westbound, pull into a parking space, and then they can pull out and continue westbound and exit the driveway, or they can do a Y-backing turn and head back out the other way if they want to proceed eastbound. The area to the middle there to the west, by putting a landscaping island there in the middle, that forces the vehicles into a circular pattern there, and that it makes it a more natural and obvious place for the vehicles to drive. If we had left that open and didn't put that landscaping island there in the middle, there would be additional confusion on the part of the drivers as to how to back and where to go. Now you've got a natural barrier that provides the place to provide you where you're going to back to or from.
But this is good deliveries. I mean, what's the importance of?
Well,
there's a lot of area right here. So
that would be publicly accessible parking. Primarily, it would be used by employees who would come back there to park. We would expect that employees would choose to park back there and out of the right of way, but it's still going to be used for deliveries as well as trash. So that concrete pad that you see there in front of the white triangle right there, yes, sir, that would be the trash enclosure. So the trucks would come in there and front load, lift the truck, the bins from there, and then proceed counterclockwise or clockwise, depending on how the truck wants to turn, and then exit the site.
So the area in the
So,
northwest.
sorry, Val,
corner-
let's go one by one. Are you finished with all your questions, Alex? Okay, Valerie.
The area in the northwest corner,
Yes, ma'am.
I thought you had mentioned that as being where employees would park. But
That would be a space that we would designate as employee only parking,
that's okay.
as opposed to other places on the site where employees may choose to park.
I see.
Yeah.
So the area that Alex was just asking about is optional for employees.
Yes, ma'am. That would be
and also public.
right, but we would be probably encouraging our employees to park back there, just because it's out of the way,
In the northwest corner.
and also by the trash enclosure as well, if needed. I think there's only 6 or 7 parking spaces there on the northwest corner. There's probably going to be some time when we'll have more than 7 employee vehicles in the lot. So that's all. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be confusing there, but he asked what was going on there. And my thought was it is a publicly accessible parking spot, but it would be less used compared to the others that are along Calle Real.
Right. And then I guess I have one more question. What's the screening proposed along the western property line? That's more of a landscape question.
Nicole, do you happen to remember what we have along the west side there?
Yeah, about the Starbucks area.
The area between our property and Starbucks?
Yeah, we did the Stringia and Ceanothus, so she gets me large, and then we have a couple trees screening back, so we get fairly big. And
There's
then we
also-
have this campus back.
There's also going to be a retaining wall on the west side of the property. The southern half of the western part of the site will have a retaining wall as well, and that'll be covered with greenery as well.
John.
You have a flagpole indicated on the eastern corner. And how high is that pole and how big of a flag do you propose to use there?
Well, we would propose whatever the building code allows there. It's not typically the building codes have a height limit. It's typically the same as whatever the building limit is for that area. But we would propose nothing bigger than what was appropriate for the scale and massing of the building itself. If I think the height limit there is no more than 30 feet. It wouldn't be. What you saw before was probably out of scale. The flag that we had put in the previous renderings looked too large to me compared to what we would normally have there. It would be whatever the building and or sign code allowed, and no more. We would not be asking for a variance to that in any way.
All good. Mr. Richards? Questions?
Yeah, sorry, there's not a floor plan of the building, but are there seats in the building for people to dine at?
Yes, so we have there a hard covered lid open air dining room that's to the east end of the building, as well as some patio dining on the north side of the building.
So what's the total number of seats for people?
Total number of seats was 66 dining seats, and additional the publicly accessible areas of the restaurant, which is what is used typically for calculating parking, would require 16 parking spaces, and we're closer to 50. So, yeah.
And then a landscape question, is there any ability to get any trees kind of on the patio, on the north side of the patio there of the building? I think that was a comment we made in the previous. Just wondered if that there's like a planter strip there.
Right there?
Yeah, right there.
We do have the ability. I think our main reason on why we didn't put them in is just because showing that part of the building with the landscape and kind of accenting different heights instead of covering it. But yes, to answer your question, but I think that's why I did put them in.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the idea was to use landscaping to frame the view of the building. You sent us back to the drawing board. We've put together, I think, a very beautiful building. We'd like to show it off to the people driving by. And also, to be frank, it helps us sell chicken sandwiches.
Okay. Those are my questions.
Vice Chair Bloomer?
I just had a question about the materials. It looks like the choice for the window frames is clear anodized aluminum. I was just curious, the awning, is that meant to be a galvanized metal awning, or is that actually going to be sheathed in like a Kynar painted sheet metal, or what's the material of the metallic features of the detailing?
So I'm sorry, if you're going to speak, can you just come up to the podium just so we can make sure we get.
Yeah, you're still taking what we're saying through here, this microphone?
Yeah, but it's you're farther away from the mic.
Yeah. So we've done these, and not for Chick-fil-A, but for other projects in a powder coated, and the frames are brought to the site. It's more durable and get more control over the finish.
So it's meant to kind of exactly match the finishes of the window frames.
Well, it won't actually.
Metallic element.
Yeah, it won't. No, it's just a kind of a soft gray, and but the windows are a clear anodized.
Okay, thank you.
That's it. Okay, I have a couple questions. What have you addressed the sort of stormwater management requirements for the site?
We've done a preliminary or a conceptual stormwater treatment plan. Our civil engineer has done that, and so we do have a conceptual set of civils that we submitted for the conditional use permit. Yes.
You've already started. I just want to make sure that something's not going to come up that's going to change the site design.
Well, thank you for asking, but yeah, we at this stage in the development of our site design, we're fully engaged with the civil engineer. So there's already a stormwater control plan, and some of the landscaping areas that you see indicated are stormwater treatment facilities for either retention or detention. Frankly, I don't remember which.
Okay. And then just to confirm, I think you mentioned that there's no entry at the west curb cut, right? You go all the way down and then drive all the way through the site.
That's correct.
That's only egress.
That is correct.
What we're seeing here. Okay.
And that is at the specific request or frankly, the conditional of approval from the Department of Transportation from the county.
And then what is the height of the building? I mean, it varies, obviously.
Yeah, about 23 feet from above finished grade.
And is there a reason it needs to be? I mean, it seems it's one story, I assume, and interior.
So that the height includes the parapet that hides the rooftop equipment.
What's that height, the parapet?
It's
40.
about,
About 42.
no, it's much higher. It's about 6 feet. It's about the limit.
But what?
6 feet?
The units are quite large, and then we have exhaust fans as well. And we want to completely screen those.
Okay, and do you happen to know, the elevation of that roof, let's say, versus the freeway northbound? I mean, do you look down on this building? I'm trying to think.
No, you're ramping up as you go on this, so you wouldn't see the roof.
Yeah, okay. All right, good. I think that was all of my questions. Oh, I guess one last question was, what is the time estimate in the queue over here? I guess, you know what, I think, never mind, because I was assuming we'd be coming in here. I was just wanted to make sure we weren't going to get jammed up there, but since you have to enter at the east end, I don't think that's an issue. So that's all my questions. Any other questions from the board? No. Okay, go to public comment. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this item? If so, please raise your hand. I know we had a series of letters.
We have
Several.
people online too.
Okay,
Let me know when you're ready. I'll call.
got it. Okay, so we have Tom Elliott representing, I don't know what that says. Oh, Forte Ranch. So
I'm actually glad I got to see that presentation first.
So Tom, you'll have 3 minutes when you're ready.
Okay. Chairman and members of the bar, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Tom Elliott. I'm the president of the Homeowners Association at Fort Ranch. Fort Ranch is a complex of 137 townhomes and condominiums across and just down the street from the proposed location for the new Chick-fil-A on the corner of Calvary and Turnpike. I was also the recording secretary for the Goleta Valley Community Plan Committee, responsible for writing the Goleta Valley Community Plan. I have no illusions that us mere homeowners and residents of the surrounding area can win a fight against a large corporation like Chick-fil-A or the county supervisors hell bent on garnishing all the tax revenue they can. I know it is your job as the bar to review and approve the plans and present the planning department and make recommendations to the Board of Supervisors. I will save my comments on opposition to the project for the board. I'm here today to ask the bar and county planners to look at the whole project, the whole picture. We already have to contend with 2 drive-through operations, Starbucks and In-N-Out Burger, both of which have vehicles blocking the street at times, similar to Chick-fil-A on State Street. Add to that the 2 busy gas stations, traffic accessing the hotel, police station, jail, county campus, the high school, and the Wake Center, and the trucks and private vehicles going to and from the transfer station. Cal-Real is a very busy street. Planners, when looking at the existing traffic, please not look at the last 2 years as an example. During COVID, many of the county employees have been working from home. The Wake Center has been closed, so traffic has been lighter. I would like to commend the planners who installed the double lift line turn lanes on both Turnpike and Cal-Real, as really has helped with the traffic a lot. Also, please keep in mind there's MTD plans to build up to 300 new homes on the property across the street, adding much to the traffic. It appears to me that the IHOP property is being narrow at one end is not any larger than the property at the In-N-Out. Even with the long drive-through area at In-N-Out, I've had to wait in the street to get in. I cannot see how we will not have the same problem with the location as Chick-fil-A has on State Street. I'm sure you're aware there's an empty bus stop in front of the IHOP, which I did not see in your plans at all, which has already been moved once to accommodate the Starbucks building. Locating the ingress and egress of the 3rd drive-through will be very important. I was going to say I'm not worried about the design of the building. It looks like the design of the building is fine, and the bar would be fine. I just hope that it has a very good filtration system in it, so we're not smelling fried chicken all the time. I already told my wife we may be eating a lot more chicken. My concern and the concern of many of the residents of Fort Ranch and the surrounding areas impact a third drive-through will have on our neighborhood. So please look at the whole picture. Have a second. I will mention that where your egress is there, people are coming out, turning directly into the left-hand turn lanes that go on the turnpike, which are sometimes backed up clear past the front of the IHOP now. So we're going to have a problem. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Lisa Kenyon.
Good morning, Chair and members of the board. My name is Lisa Kenyon. I've been a resident of the Turnpike Kyrell area for over 20 years. Tom, are you sure you didn't just copy my speech, or maybe I copied yours? I can basically ditto all the things. I've never met Tom before. Bless you for all your comments. I'm not going to read from the letters I've previously provided to you or go over the 50 photographs of the pictures I've actually taken of the problems at Starbucks and In-N-Out. What I want to do instead is just pose a question. How can the neighbors get the county to look at this issue with regard to the parcel in a concurrent manner versus a sequential manner? It always feels like us, we're 2 steps behind, and it's kind of like where the board for here is going to say, we're dealing with this, transportation's dealing with that, this group's dealing with that, and a lot of this. And I look at that from the standpoint of even the last time the appeal was made at the Starbucks building. We were basically told that the approval had been granted. It's not our problem. It's now an enforcement issue. Everything along that Kyrell basically becomes an enforcement issue of the CHP, not even our local county sheriffs. Once again, I'm just going to ditto what Tom has to say. And the message that everybody have songs that go through their head. In my head is a big yellow taxi. They pay Paradise and put in a parking lot. I know it's already a parking lot. I really do. But for those of us that every day have to drive through that intersection and try and get through it safely, it is a huge issue. It's a compound issue. This has nothing to do with what's going on State Street, Chick-fil-A. We just know that we're bright enough to look at the future and say, we're going to have the same problems compounded more so because of the great business that In-N-Out has, the great business that Starbucks has, and I'm sure Chick-fil-A will have a great business too. But our bottom line from my neighborhood is we don't want another drive-through in the neighborhood. I do want to comment on the Turnpike Shopping Center on a positive note versus being the neighbor that's always complaining about drive-throughs. I really appreciate all the work that you did. It was a delight to drive by there last Saturday in particular and see everybody sitting outside of the lot. There is areas for people to sit now and make it a community. That's all about what Tom and his group did in putting that Eastern Goleta Valley program together. And that's what I hope that you will take and keep in mind here with regard to this parcel. No offense to Chick-fil-A. We don't want another drive-through in the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have a couple hands raised online. Mary O'Gorman, 3 minutes when you're ready.
Hi, I'm assuming you can hear me. You have my letter. I won't reiterate the specific policies and purpose statements that I believe link your role in a pertinent way to the fatal flaw in this design. And that is that it is solely a vehicle-centered operation on a site located on what was deemed in the Eastern Goleta Valley plan that Tom worked on so hard with others, a multimodal street. The previous highway commercial zoning was removed in order to make way for more neighborhood-oriented as opposed to freeway-oriented businesses. This application and design is diametrically opposed to that. I cannot stress enough, and I'm not sure who needs to hear this, this is not pedestrian friendly. The presentation and comments seem to represent some other neighborhood or community. And clearly none of anyone talking other than the public commenters seem to really reside in this neighborhood or frequent it enough. My message is clear to all of you and to the owners if they're watching. This project is not wanted. No amount of beautification, elimination of the cookie cutter design features will eliminate the fatal flaw. Our neighborhood would welcome a locally owned, moderately priced, pleasant, family-friendly dining establishment, Three Pickles, South Coast Deli, Natural Cafe, Creekside. While I haven't yet requested or reviewed a complete public record of how this project has accelerated so quickly within the county system, it is inescapable that the developers and perhaps unnamed people in the city or county view this as some sort of solution to mitigate the mess that the business has created in the city of Santa Barbara. But simply put, we won't allow ourselves anymore to be a dumping ground for poor decisions. A quick review of the design shows people casually sitting and eating outside adjacent to 101 and in the middle of a parking lot with 2 lanes of idling vehicles. I just don't see that. I'm not an architect, but I am a realist. And on a daily basis, I pass by the adjacent drive-through messes, navigating blocked lanes, horns honking, because the reality of the circulation messes are a far cry from the architectural renderings of people walking calmly on the sidewalk with their children. That doesn't happen anymore. And I understand that is not your job to enforce. I don't know whose job it is, because it seems as if County Public Works completely disregards the complaints that come through, the appeals that have happened, and I don't understand that. But, just suffice it to say, we're not going away. All of us are responsible, reasonable, moderate members of the community, but the lack of response or even acknowledgement of the current dangerous conditions cannot be exacerbated by what's before you. And again, this is a vehicle-oriented design project. That's what it is. So no amount of pedestrian-friendly, bicycle-friendly, statements is going to mitigate that. And I can understand. I see, like in Summerlin, you guys have taken a position on the fuel depot sign. We also on another deal with those issues, but I know that, your voices matter. And I just want to thank you all for volunteering your time. I've served on many city and county boards and commissions over the years. I know that no matter what your focus or topic is, it is thankless. So I'm thanking you. Thanks. That's all.
Thank you very much. Excuse me, Liz Gaspar, 3 minutes. Liz, you'll need to unmute yourself there you go.
Excuse me, thank you. I want to just start by saying thank you as well. I appreciate the process that allows us to be able to comment. I am Liz Gaspar. I live on El Sueño Road, and I've lived in this area for this particular neighborhood for over 20 years, and I see increasing problems. I have sent a couple emails to the board expressing my views. I agree with the views expressed by the 3 previous speakers. I also sent photos of traffic congestion that I took at 3 random times when I just happened to be driving by. And the continued problems that I see are drivers not being compliant with signage that prohibits them to wait in the road. I'm concerned about drivers exiting Starbucks and potentially Chick-fil-A carelessly. I've had to slam my brakes on several occasions as I was trying to navigate going east as people with their coffee exit the Starbucks. Also, when the drivers queue up, they are completely blocking the bike path. And I can envision that the Chick-fil-A situation, I can't see it being any different. I can't see people behaving differently at Chick-fil-A as they do at Starbucks, which is an ongoing problem. So I think I just can wrap it up by saying that this project, I appreciate Chick-fil-A's need to find a suitable location, but this is not it. it is going to compound an already existing dangerous traffic problem. And looking at the plans, I don't see how that will ameliorate the issue. So I am not in support of this project being at this location. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, I think we got through it. Do you want to, everyone read the letters that came in the last few days? Okay, so then we'll bring it back to the board for comments. Maybe the same order, Mr. Peugeot.
Well, it's a difficult project to comment on. Let's start with the architecture. I think the wood soffits on the canopies are a good move. Thank you. That helps. And I don't think the size, bulk, and scale of the building is too large. That is not the issue here. And the colors are more or less acceptable. As a minor comment, I would suggest to thicken the canopy edges to make them more in scale with the rest of the building. I welcome the pedestrian canopy, but it does seem underwhelmed by all of the other much larger elements in the building. So I can increase the size of that or make it more prominent. And then regarding the landscaping, I believe it's an improvement from what we've seen before, but I think it needs more landscaping from the street. I think if you can put page number 13 on the screen, maybe we can talk. Dave, can you put screen number 13? I think, yeah, there you go. We just passed it. Yeah, there, yeah, perfect. Yeah, the thing is, it comes across as to the automobile dealership in the city, because the car presence is just so intense. You see vehicles all over. That's why the importance of the landscaping, trying to maybe the low plantings, they can achieve 4 or 5 feet. At least it would screen the cars. They will not be so visible from Calle Real. Then comes the other things, the elephant in the room, which I hope that it's a comment for the Planning Commission. I think the comment would be this part is concerned about the cumulative impacts of drive-throughs in this area. Just like a comment, I hope my other board members agree with that comment, because this indeed is a vehicle center operation. It's not. And also freeway oriented. And we see that with some things that I am not in support. One is the pole sign, which is really unnecessary, at least from Calle Real, because the other signs are good and plenty. The other one is by the location of the flag. And sometimes I get in trouble with these comments being a foreign-born nationalist, like an unpatriotic or so forth, but it's the flag when it's used as a pole sign. I find it personally offensive because it's such an important symbol for our country. So if you need to put the sign, the flag, maybe you should put it someplace else, which is closer to Calle Real and not on the freeway side. So those are the things. There's the issue of the vehicle center operation. And it's so much pavement there and so center on vehicles. Otherwise, if it was not a drive-through, people actually park and stop. But what this type of operation defines is a constant movement of vehicles from one side to the other. So that's what I think the cumulative impact is, and the neighbors are against. I cannot share that, but I try to stay on my lane. I'm an architect, it's an architectural board review. Anyway, those are my comments.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Actually, before we go on, I have 2 quick questions that may impact comments. So you mentioned, Mr. Hale, you're basically required to have only 16 parking spaces. Is that correct?
Yes, our preliminary review of that was that based on the calculation of the publicly accessible areas of the restaurant, around 16 parking spaces.
And would that that maybe not including the employee spaces, or is that basically?
You know, I don't have the formula immediately in front of me, so I'd have to look into that. What I meant to say was is that we're over parked compared to what we're required to, and the acknowledgement.
We're at around 50.
Yeah.
And so I guess that leads me to my next question. Do we have any input from Transportation Department or any other county departments on site layout or anything to that effect?
The answer, I can answer part of that question. So we are in active discussion. I'm sorry.
Then I'll give you a chance.
So Chris, this is Alex. The project is still very much in the review stages with our department and with other departments.
Okay.
They, were deemed incomplete with their initial submittal. One of the things we asked for is a more comprehensive traffic study and parking plan, and that'll help inform some of those questions, I think.
So how does that work then with our order of things? I mean, obviously we're just here for conceptual today. What is expected of us? Are you going to chime in? Are we coming back for more conceptual? Are we able to get them into a preliminary situation, or do we need to wait for your comments first?
Certainly we would not be going any further than conceptual with you all today, or at any point prior to the public hearing. If we get to a point with the concurrent planning review where the project layout or design changes, then we would bring it back to your board for further review.
Okay.
Before it goes to public hearing.
Okay, thanks, Alex. That helps. Let's move on then to additional comments. Ms. Froscher.
Well, I do feel that this is a very challenging project. I think that you've done a lot toward improving the landscaping in the renderings. And some of the details on the building, but I also feel like Alex voiced, the elephant in the room is the cumulative impact of another drive-through at this intersection. And the major concerns from the community that the county process may not really be working that well, that it's being piecemealed by Public Works has one set of criteria, we have another set of criteria, and then somehow it's supposed to all get resolved at the Planning Commission. And I think that it's reminding me of some of the cell sites we've had to review, which is not something we enjoy doing as architects, but there's a cumulative impact that happens there too, where there are just too many in a location and they start to destroy the quality of living for the people in that neighborhood. And I feel that the drive-through is doing that here. And as much as you're putting a really good effort into design within the parameters of a drive-through, I think at this point, I don't support another drive-through at that intersection. And I think you can have pedestrian walkways, you can have different types of paving, but you can't eliminate the constant flow of idling cars and the mentality of people that think that they get off the freeway, they sit in their car, they order from a window, and they park and keep, idle and then keep driving. And I don't think that's what wants to be encouraged anymore in this troubled intersection. And I think in terms of the neighborhood, it probably started going off the rails a long time ago with the first drive-through and then the second drive-through and the busy gas stations and all the list that was given of all the different things that happen at that intersection. It's being overpowered. And so as much as I appreciate the architectural elements that you've developed and the landscape. You know, just in terms of details, I think there should still be more trees. I think there should be trees in front of the, you know, around the dining area on the front. People will still see the building. And then more screening on the west as well. But as of right now, I don't support a drive-through.
Board Member Berdia?
Well, I agree with it. There's a problem about the drive-through, but I also think the building is, you know, we look at it from mass, bulk, and scale and neighborhood compatibility. I think that the mass and the bulk of the scale, the building is too large and too obvious, but I suppose that's a good way to promote your product. But the thing that bothers me about it is it has no relationship to the neighborhood or to the area. And our first criticism here that was it doesn't reflect the architectural character of Santa Barbara. And, you know, to me, that's a basic flaw of it. I think it needs a new approach. I know that you spent a good deal of time and you're very good at this traffic flow through here. But, you know, I just think that the building itself is fundamentally wrong. I think it should reflect the character of Santa Barbara and the scale of it. And, you know, there's examples here of, you know, the courthouse and El Paseo and the Meridian Studios and the Natural History Museum. I mean, this building doesn't reflect that at all. And it's right on the entry to Santa Barbara. So that would be my comment.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Richards?
Well, talk about a complicated project on here. I think that the applicants have brought a lot of improvements to I think the applicants have brought a lot of improvements to the previous application. And the planting is a big improvement. I think these renderings are slightly misleading in terms of the size of the plants, the way that they're displayed, but overall the layout and the type of plants proposed, I think, are appropriate. I think the opportunity of trying to get some trees in there in that space that I was talking about right against the building would help to kind of screen the building a little bit. It might kind of take away from the perceived size of it. I still kind of struggle with the amount of outdoor seating relative to all the parking. I mean, it sounds like you have a lot of parking compared to what is required, and maybe there could be an alternative layout that would incorporate more seating and make this not feel as like vehicle oriented as everybody's identifying. Some of the features that I like are how you guys brought in the wood underneath the awnings. I think the stucco and the tile details are an improvement. I like the raised planter that you brought around the patio. I think that's an improvement. The finger planters are improvement. So I think that there's some opportunities though with the overall layout of the site to potentially make it feel more pedestrian friendly than vehicle oriented. And I understand the business is pretty much vehicle oriented, so there's some struggle right there in how you lay out the site and how it operates. I don't know that I'm the one to fix that, but those are my comments.
Okay, thank you. Vice Chair Bloomer?
Well, I'm going to keep my comments to the architecture and the landscape architecture. I'm pretty sure this board has zero purview over whether or not this project can have a drive-through or not, correct? So we're not in a position to deny or approve it based on whether it has a drive-through, correct? That's not our job, right?
No.
Okay, good. I thought so.
But we can provide input, and we do consider
Right, so we're
neighborhood.
supposed to find the best design solution possible for what's allowed by use, and there's other bodies and voters and politics that can actually handle the rest of that. We're not doing that, right?
Yes, but it's a little gray because we are out charged with, neighborhood compatibility issues also.
Right, but that ship sailed. We're not here to implement a planning.
Yeah, we're not going to deny this because it's a drive-in,
Yeah. So
drive-through, sorry.
our job is
Could
the
be a drive.
architecture and the landscape architecture to try and make the best of it, right?
Correct.
Okay, good. Want to make that clear. This board has to have some integrity around what we're doing here. Other applicants need to know that we're on the right track. So from an architectural standpoint, I think that there's been some efforts by the architect to improve or not improve, but to try to find a more unique, more significant architectural kind of statement that and I can see those of making some comparisons. I generally think the mass Vulcan scale of the building is fine. I would comment that the white paint color needs to be looked at and carefully, and something a little bit more subtle. The bright white won't be the right choice for this area. I think the general detailing of the project needs more crafting and attention to detail and care to the the alignment of some of the awnings and elements that are attached to the building. And the question I'm still trying to decide. I don't agree with the comment that was put in the record that it doesn't reflect the architectural character of the area. I mean, there's other precedents of contemporary modern buildings in the area. I think the comment that I was trying to push forward in the last meeting was that it was too corporate in appearance and lacking pedestrian elements. That seemed clear to me. But I do feel like the project needs to be a response to its own site. So there is a tie to the neighborhood that needs to be considered. I don't know if I agree with John that it needs to look like downtown Santa Barbara, El Pueblo Viejo district, kind of historical references that were talked about, but it seems like the architect wants to go in a modern direction or contemporary design. So doesn't mean that contemporary design can't reference its place or its region. And there's kind of a lack of regionally specific materials. There's an effort to put some tile into the project, which is a good step forward in that direction. But I think more could be done to try and tie this project to its specific site location, this region, draw from regional materials that are naturally found here, or look to Santa Barbara's character and history and see if there's some cue that can be taken from the vernacular designs that are here, the ones that we made up. So those are my comments about it. I think that considering a darker color for metallic elements could be an area of study. I'm not sure if I don't really care if it's anodized clear aluminum, but it could go a little bit darker. I was actually reviewing the last submittal, and I thought the detailing on the awnings was a little bit more carefully done. So I think more care needs to be done to that. I think some of the alignment of the awnings to the building are a little bit under analyzed in terms of design. There's some alignments there to the corner of the building that don't seem right, that they don't feel tucked in. I think the awning over the area we're looking at there with the red umbrellas is well done, but the one to the left, there's a header space between the awning and the windows that looks odd. And it's in contrast to the awning on the white part of the building there, where you see the transom windows above, and it feels like the awning's integrated into the window architecture. I think that's a positive way to detail that. And I think over to the left there, where you see that awning kind of added to that tan colored volume, it doesn't have any real relationship or alignment to the windows below, and it's kind of just floating there. It needs to be detailed into the building better. And I think there's some other awnings in the building that could also go that way. I was looking at a project that the architects did on their website with a similar awning system that had a little bit more detail to it. I don't know where it's located. There's a picture of a drive-through, and the detailing shows like a C channel. And it's a very nice treatment of that awning. That kind of detail I think would be appreciated. I also think that the plaster detailing is probably going to need to have some kind of a reglet. And if we're going to go with a plaster building, I think this needs to be a high quality plaster, maybe a burnished finish. I think like a sprayed on stucco won't do here. So high quality 3-coat plaster, with a nice smooth finish, with some reglet detailing, careful reglet detailing, to the details and to the face of the building. There's some precedent in this architect's other Chick-fil-A buildings where they've done some nice reglet detailing to break up the volume of the plaster and create some architectural character. So I think that would be nice to see it the next time this comes back. And I'm also aware that maintenance on this is going to be an issue. So, if plaster is not the first choice, maybe a phenolic panel or some kind of durable panel system that's a high quality would be a reasonable solution, so that there's plenty of palette there. But I'd like to see this go beyond like a kind of sprayed in stucco with rounded corners. I think this should be kind of a nice, tight, clean, snappy looking finish. There's a gray concrete wall. I had a question, is that meant to be all tile? That little supporting wall that holds the awning up on the site next behind those red umbrellas in that photo?
Tile facing the street, and there is a
relief on the backside. Well, I think being that tile is a nice opportunity to tie it into the local region. It'd be nice to maybe even try sourcing it from a local source, maybe in Ojai or just tile manufacturers, how they used to be. But be interesting to see if there's like maybe above the header of the windows on that left volume there, some other places to introduce the tile to kind of use that as a potential element that regionally ties this together. I think there's some opportunity for that. Looking forward to seeing more detail in terms of what things that are going to land in the site, or what materials are going to land in the site that aren't just concrete. So, what kind of pavers and other elements to divide up the different areas of the site. Another opportunity to soften this and produce a corporate look. But generally, I think you're moving in a good direction architecturally, and I appreciate that you've tried to find a more unique design solution. I think you push it a little bit further with the detailing. That's my comment.
Okay, thank you. Always hard to follow Josh. So I won't add too much more. I think there's too much parking, and I think that adds to the amount of asphalt and the overall feeling of being vehicle oriented. If 16 are required and you have 50, and we seem concerned about the amount of paving, then I think there's an opportunity. I mean, if you have 50 cars parked and you're talking about 100 cars, I mean, if potentially if the drive-through is full. So again, that's just I think we could push some further reduction in parking. Beyond that, could you briefly tell us what you have to the landscape architect for trees, parking lot canopy trees? I didn't get a chance to look at study it.
Oh, what types of trees?
Yeah, what are you using for parking lot trees? Maybe step up to the microphone. Yeah.
I'm forgetting about that. All right. I know the ones that I have in the parking lot, we did do platanus, and I know we also have Chinese elm in there, and I have jageras, which all those get pretty large canopy types. So I feel as far as creating more of a shade coverage, we did a pretty good job of keeping the larger tree types more towards the parking lot. And then on the outside, we did the magnolias to match the adjacent property.
Okay, good, thank you. So I guess my comment would be to maximize canopy to reduce heat island effect where possible, because it does seem, and obviously these renderings don't reflect what each tree looks like. So it's hard to tell what trees are going where until I can study the planting plan. But I think Val hinted at it, and I think more trees are always a good thing, especially with so much asphalt. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
So we want to add it. Okay. I appreciate them. Another comment was that we will look forward to hearing from the transportation department or any other departments, staff to help guide us through, exactly what we should be looking at here, what our purview is and what we're able to comment on. And so we'll look for their input as well. And I do appreciate the move to have the ingress on the east end and not have, I think that's going to be helpful to alleviate some of the issues that the neighborhood is concerned about in terms of people backing up onto the roadway, as is happening with Starbucks and was happening with In-N-Out as well. So that's, I think, all I have to add. And I think Josh had one more comment.
Yeah, two more comments, Mr. Chair. One on the
Sorry, no,
landscape. I think just given the public nature of this project, like the plant quantities and the sizes should be the highest possible, so that day one, the plantings really do a good job of filling this in. Sometimes we can adjust quantity and size of plantings. But I think in this case, we should let you guys guide that conversation as landscape architects. But I think we should be pushing towards maximums in terms of size of plantings. Really fill this in day one, so it looks like this for the neighborhood, or at least has that full appearance.
I think they did have some pretty decent box sizes.
The second thing, I just wanted to make sure that the applicant returns and should really come forward with a good lighting plan. And we have a dark sky compliant mandate that we need to follow here. We also obviously want to see architectural lighting on the building and throughout the site, and pathway lighting, and then also you have safety issues and general lighting. And I think a good, very careful survey of that with a photometric study by a qualified engineer would be appropriate for such a large area, such a public space. Getting the lighting right on this in the evenings and at night is going to be critical to the quality of it architecturally.
Okay. I think that's a good comment, because what we're not seeing in these renderings are light standards in the parking.
If I may add something. So if the project would delete a few parking spaces, maybe 10, if you have a 30, there were 25 over, and if you take just a few parking spaces from here, then the whole pedestrian access becomes a lot more doable. I mean, it seems like a lot more. There. I also would suggest maybe a raised planter area, like a short 18-inch, 24-inch wall to raise the planters to create more of a buffer between the cars inside the lot and the cars outside the lot, because it seems like a whole thing flows. It will become, it will make it less automobile oriented. That's what I think. But if you think of, if the parking number is negotiable, then the project really has the ability to change drastically.
Okay. Any other last comments? Minute of rebuttal.
Yes, thank you very much for your comments. We've taken some copious notes, and we're looking forward to getting the formal minutes from you to go over this with the design team. Appreciate the comments regarding the relevance of the traffic component of this relative to this. It is a legitimate within your purview to consider the drive-through as it applies to the site design. So it's appropriate for us to have that conversation, notwithstanding the fact, of course, that the use itself is beyond the purview. So to that point, I'd like to say there's a balance that needs to be struck, and I hope you understand that the traffic concerns that the community obviously has for this project do push us in the direction of providing enough places to put the cars on the site so that we're not adding to the problem in the public right of way. So ideally, we want to have in no case where we're using any more than 90% of the parking stalls on a site at any one time. The reason being is that gives a place for somebody to put their car in right away, as opposed to waiting in the drive aisle for an empty parking spot. Okay, and it gives time for people to turn into the sites because they're turning through 2 parking spaces to park into 1. You know what I'm saying? And so we don't think that, except for in the extreme cases on our high operational tempo, that we're going to be coming close to that 50 cars or whatever it is. But by having a place for anybody who does come onto the site, that means that that deceleration lane is moving as efficiently as it possibly can. They're getting onto the site and they're not exacerbating whatever problems already exist in the intersection. The second thing I'd like to point out is that, and having been a planning commissioner in my city myself, I absolutely appreciate and understand the traffic concerns. We are doing a engineered traffic impact analysis that will include a comprehensive circulation analysis and a queuing study. It'll all be part of what we submit to the transportation department. It's important for all of the decision makers, both the Board of Architectural Review and the planning commissioners, to take an objective look at the scientific data that is generated from that analysis and not respond to the emotional impressions that we get from our occasional extemporaneous experience in the intersections. We will include, of course, in this, the actual number of traffic collisions that are occurring in the area. The impression is that it's a very dangerous intersection, but the actual data from the sheriffs and the CHP is that it's not a high incident of traffic collisions. In fact, it's a very low incidence of traffic collisions. And so there's an impression from a street level perspective, and then there's data that is generated by our traffic engineers that is then evaluated by the scientific community within the board itself. So just encourage you to keep that in mind as we struggle with balancing the desire to make this a beautiful, pedestrian-oriented, community-friendly, family-friendly environment, with the fact that we are at a intersection that is intended and has been designated as a long-distance travel stop for vehicle-oriented businesses. So we understand that tension and we want to be part of the community. The person who will own and operate this restaurant will be a local resident, will operate this restaurant and this restaurant alone, will be in the store and will be a locally owned business. And that's important for you to understand that one of the comments was to that effect was, we want a family-friendly, locally owned business. And that's exactly what Chick-fil-A is, if you understand our model. These other things that you talked about, for example, lighting plan, sure, we're going to give them to those too.
More comment. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Josh.
I just want to reinforce the comment about looking to adjust the parking to add more landscaping. I do think this board has the ability to work with the applicant to balance that. I appreciate the amount of landscaping that's being provided. It still feels a little thin. And yes, there's a balance between your operations capacity, the amount of landscaping. We could obviously eliminate a lot of landscaping and add more capacity for you. So if we can do that, we would certainly add more landscaping. And I think Alex's point is an important consideration. And I think the applicant should really consider finding an opportunity to create more landscaping at the expense of some parking. I don't think it needs to be a dramatic reduction, but a couple spaces to add landscaping back, I think would be a proper response to what you're hearing. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Alex Tuttle, are you clear on comments? Do we need to review?
I think I could go through what I got, or I think I got it pretty good though.
Okay, I think we trust you, man. All right.
Thank you very much for your input and your time. Thank you very much.
You want to, just question, I guess, for the board is, do you want to see this kind of one more time after things kind of shake out before it goes to hearing?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay.
As somebody pointed out, there weren't many changes to the site design. There were a lot to the building and to the landscaping, but I think we need more consideration of site design changes. So I think they need to come back one more time. All right, good, thanks. Moving on, item number 2, the wood deck. Request of Don Swan, agent for Danny B. Wood, for preliminary and final approval to validate an unpermitted wood deck rebuild of approximately 622 square feet and the addition of a roof to the deck. This is located at 866 Cheltenham Road in the Mission Canyon area. Last heard December 17th of, I assume that should be 12/17/21.
Bear with me.
Okay.
Getting a long lag.
Sir, while we're waiting, your name for the record?
Don Swan, I'm agent for
Welcome, Don.
Janie Wood.
Through our comments from last time, and then I'll turn it over to you for your presentation. So comment A, as-built porch does not match style of the house. Study design options to be more architecturally compatible with the home. B, applicant to ensure deck complies with the high fire hazard requirements. C, provide minimum 3-foot planter in front and sides for screening. D, add skirt around base to minimize floating appearance. E, study alternative roof material other than corrugated metal. Corrugated metal is not compatible with the existing house or neighborhood, particularly at front entry. So, whenever you're ready.
First, I'd like to say one thing first, that since the time that the structure's been there, built, probably without permit, the owner, Janie Wood, she's had experience to live in this area and has found it's quite comfortable for her, what is there. So in that in mind, we took back and tried to find out, this is to improve the design. Basically, we understand that it is not compatible with the existing house. The house was built in 1954 and is not of any simpler style, and so she feels very comfortable. She'd like to have the same style house, same size covered deck that is shown. We'd gone through all the process of creating the structure to make it more, to meet the fire department's requirements or the fire approvals, and found out that the structure itself, we've grounded the base of the deck with skirting that is done with hardy boards surfaces and covered by drywall as well. Drywall underneath this hardy board, protecting it and adding kind of like a lower design of the underfloor area to take care of that. We salvaged the main structure, the main beam structure in the building, and created more beams and connected this deck to the existing structure, taking it back and landing it on the walls and tying the roof together at the top. I don't know whether you've got the latest plans of you can see by there's a section, really the sections on the left-hand side there of the structure showing the railing to the roof structure. We restructured the roof with a solid decking or solid joisting with a ceiling that consists of hardy board protection and the skirting is grounded to the foundation. We put in a foundation between the piers, and what else can I say about it? And still we're stuck leaving the same kind of shape of it basically. As far as the landscaping, I sent a revised photo of what exists there now, and Janie would like to have the opportunity to use mostly of the type of planning she has, but she wants to do it at a later date to find out how she's going to put it around the base of the new deck. She wants to make it more friendly to her friends that come, which she's going to add a paved area in front of the stairway that will allow some. It would put a couple of Adirondack chairs and a table, and so they come and sit and chat in the driveway. But basically, she likes the style of the deck, and she really thinks that it's really going to be something that she's already experienced the enjoyment of sitting there during the day and night. So basically, that's what we've done.
Okay, so can you maybe sum up what, is anything changing or we just?
The skirt,
right?
The roofing, he changed the roofing material, and it's fireproof.
I didn't hear.
Correct.
Yeah, the roofing material is going to a,
how's it fireproof? Anyway, sorry, let's just go to questions.
there's a hardy board siding on the soffit, so softening the roof structure. And
Yeah,
I'm just looking at the detail, but what was the roof? You're just doing a comp shingle to match the house?
Sorry.
What's
Okay.
the roof material?
It's a decking. It's a solid material on top.
Like a composition roof?
It's not composition, but it'll be. It's kind of like it's glued down. It's paper.
Mineral surface cap sheet.
Mineral surface cap sheet?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, other questions?
Yeah. Is the drywall necessary if you're going to use hardy board?
Yes, it's required underneath the hardboard.
What kind of vents are you going to put under there?
There's no vents.
Well, you're going to need some vents.
They
What?
fill it solid with insulation and they won't have to ventilate it.
If it's what?
If they have solid, if they fill it 100% with a solid insulation material, like a sprayed in foam, or I believe they can.
There's no insulation in it.
In foam under
But
the
they're,
deck?
they're not going to because it's outside.
It's outside.
Yeah, but the ventilation is there to prevent rot and mold.
You know, you can use these
the building
Vulcan
code.
vents, and there's another company that makes those spark resist the spark pass through.
It doesn't need venting.
Isn't the building?
It's the reason for the venting.
You know, it should
It's
have
got
venting.
vents identified on the.
It's not habitable space below it.
That's not the point. It needs air circulation, otherwise it'll get moldy. And there are vents that
There's a strip-
are spark resistant, and one of
Strip
the companies that makes it is called Vulcan.
Yeah, I know.
They have a strip vent that's fire rated that I think is probably appropriate. I love their strip. Chris loves their strip vents.
All right, other questions?
I was just looking at the latest pics. So in terms of material choice, is there any opportunity, just a question for the applicant, to paint the structure to match the body and color of the house? So it feels more integrated with the house. Is that an option that we could consider on this?
Is that the plan? To paint it?
I don't mind leaving some wood exposed. I'm just saying the major elements of the fascia and maybe the fascia of the deck, the fascia of the roof structure, and columns, and maybe leave the guardrails in the wood. Keep that nice wood finish that I think you like. Would that be possible?
Actually, the plan, and thank you for letting me join you this morning. So the plan is to stain the part that you can see, I always get horizontal and vertical
The railing.
backward. The ones that go this way,
The horizontal.
stain those white, and the beams that go this way, to stain those gray. So it's going to be kind of a gray and white mix. So it will look more integrated into the house. What I don't want it to look like is you drive up Thai Road and it jumps out, it smacks you in the face. And I'm trying to get away from that.
Okay.
One thing.
Any other questions?
No.
Yes, the horizontal 2x6 rail, is that fireproof?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah, that's not an issue.
1 hour?
Yeah, that's fine.
That's not an issue.
Okay.
I got a comment for that.
Yeah.
You can have a wood railing.
Okay. And then you said you wanted to put a patio out front, maybe with some Adirondack chairs, and you're going to do the landscaping later. Is that
No,
Do you have a
no,
landscape plan?
no, so, no, so in the front, the plan is to put, where you can see there's some plants, to put a few of the larger paving stones and do citronelle, the citronelle bush and larger, like the bush plants that are lavender, and things that'll grow taller.
But you don't have it on a plan currently shown, right? Okay.
No, it's based on how much it's cost to build, is how much I can put right at the second.
Okay.
I have one last question. The detail that you're showing on your plan sheet, detail 3.1 shows an eave condition with the roof line that extends beyond the face of the column and beam. And in the photos, it appears to be clipped. Are you proposing to add that in the next step here?
Yeah, as far as drawing it on the roof, you're talking about?
So your existing drawing in section and detail shows the roof overhanging the column and beam, and there. But in the photos, it is flipped and aligned to the column and beam. So I'm asking, is that what you're proposing to augment the existing structure with, to add an eave? If you go to the photo, you'll see what I'm saying. See, if you notice, the detail shows a roof joist, and then here in the photo, it's clip eave. So I'm asking, is the proposal now to extend that eave beyond?
Yes.
Okay, good, got it.
Okay. All right, public comment. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this? I see no attendees and no one in the audience. So back to the board for comments. Ms. Froscher.
Well, I appreciate that this is an as-built situation. I think it feels like a builder just kind of built what he thought was a good idea without figuring out what was going to be best for your house. At this point, I think it'd be best to paint the whole thing. But I still feel like there should be some notation now of what you're going to plant to screen in front of it to help minimize the way it looks on the front of the building. So don't respond. We're just going through comments right now.
And I totally appreciate your opinion, but knowing how much it's going to cost, I can't guarantee how much I can plant initially until I know how this is going to plan out as far as building cost and how much it costs every time I talk to everyone and how much it costs to get all the work done. I can guarantee you I will plant what you asked me to plant, but your time is money. And I do not have an unending amount of money. So it will end up looking beautiful. But I don't.
We need a record of what's going to be planted.
I will submit to you exactly what I will plant.
Yeah.
I cannot guarantee it will be in the ground.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, that's,
Okay.
You can consult with the building department. Once you get a permit on this, you might have a period of time of up to 2 years to get construction permit closed out. And you can always ask for extension. So I think that's a matter for you to discuss with the building department in terms of how the timing of which you staged your construction. But I think sincerely, this board would like not to see this torn down. We want to make sure that you.
Absolutely.
But that's what we're, so if you work with us, we'll make sure that that doesn't happen, I think.
Okay, I can do that.
I kind of wish, I mean, I used to live right 3 doors down from you, and that Pittosporum hedge that used to be there was really nice in that little semicircle. And then all of a sudden it was chopped and now half of it's gone. And if that only had remained, I think we'd be in better shape. So you could almost put back the way it was and be in a good position. Even planting a couple 5 gallons of that Pittosporum would help you in the long run. So, but we need to see that on a plan or something to that effect on a plan. But let's get through our other comments here and then we'll see where we end up. So
how many 5-gallon Peters forums are we talking about?
I mean, I'd have to kind of see the site, but really,
So, well, here,
yeah, that's the way it used to look.
so this is.
You can go to what's
It's called deck photos.
How
can we
many,
go to the other photo page?
how many are we talking about? So
I mean, the
let-
thing with those is they're
let-
pretty
let's-
slow growing.
Let's resolve this. Is it like more than 10,
No,
8?
I don't know if, keep going. What sheet is that?
I think you want to go up. Sorry, Dave.
So yeah, if you zoom in to that right, middle right, you see how that pittosporum hedge kind of covers a lot of
Yep.
that and then for some reason it was tried to chop into a rectangle, but it used to be this nice little semicircle.
So the Peters forum is an appropriate plan for that location?
Yeah, there's still 1 or 2 existing, right?
There was a portion of it that suddenly died out of nowhere.
Okay.
I think it was a,
Yeah, let me try to move this along.
Yeah. So even like the pittosporum and some more agave attenuatas.
Okay, as a non-landscaper, how many Peters forums do we want? 6?
5.
Five?
It depends on how many are left.
Okay, let's make it a 5-gallon, 15 gallons, 5 gallons. What they need to be. Robert, what size?
15s.
5 15-gallon Peters forum
Yeah.
and 3
Pittosporum.
agave attenuata
Well,
or Americana.
The agaves would have to be, I mean, we'd need a lot more than 3. I mean, those could be 1s and 5s, a mixture of 1s and 5 gallons of maybe,
Okay.
35.
Okay, so that's what I would like to do. I would like to approve this as proposed with all the skirts and all the improvements. And with that list of landscaping and move it along.
I just want to add one comment to I actually think that the addition of the eave that you put on there ties it into the building much better. I think that everything from the finished floor down should be painted white to match the building, and the columns and the beams and the fascia of the roof structure should be painted to match the body of the house. I'm in agreement with Alex. I think I could live with the nice wood finish that she has around the guardrail and the cap rail. It's actually quality wood, and it gives it a nice little pop and
Natural.
might gray out over time. But I think just with the plans that have been submitted and some paint to tie it more into the house, I think we're on
So
the.
you're seconding the motion then?
Yeah, and I'll second
Okay,
the
so
motion with
I'm
that.
trying to make it really clear so we can move this along, okay?
I want to make sure they understand. You guys can move,
No,
come
but I mean,
forward.
it
if you
will
need.
be within a minute.
Okay.
I can't hear you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
within a minute. So we're going to make a motion for preliminary and final approval of the proposed project with the condition, with the following landscape conditions. Please list them.
That 5 15-gallon pittosporum, what are they? Something variegata, Richard?
I'm not sure what that is. Once you say to match the existing
Pittosporum crassifolium variegata, that 5 15 gallons be planted in the former layout, pre-construction in a semicircular pattern, and 15 5-gallon agave attenuatas along with 10 1-gallon agave attenuatas sprinkled in front of that said pittosporum.
Slow down, they're taking notes here.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's
And they're
got.
speaking Latin, okay?
Yeah, you need to, I'm not keeping up with you, so, sorry.
You got it.
I have 5 15-gallon pittosporum in the former layout, semicircular layout.
Right, pre-construction. Or was that, you said it just died out and then you did the construction?
So speak
But
specific.
anyway,
So
yeah,
let's set off the deck.
yeah,
That's out here.
it's out in the front yard. So yeah, in the former semicircular pattern, historical pattern from the site from years ago. And in front of the pittosporum to add to the already existing agave attenuata quantities of 15 5-gallons and 10 1-gallons.
Okay, and then that's for the landscape. And for
And then the
the
paint.
colors, what are we talking about?
Condition we also want to add is to paint the addition from the deck finish floor down, a paint color to match the existing paint color of the body of the house.
Wait. So we're talking about the floor and the skirt?
Yeah.
Okay, the floor and the skirt, the color of the house.
And
Okay.
also to paint the columns, beams, and fascia of the deck and fascia of the roof structure the same color to match the body of the house. The cap rail on the guardrail and the guardrail horizontal siding can stay as is.
Okay, did you get that,
Natural
Alex?
color.
No,
Slow down.
sorry, I'm not.
Okay, so
Did you wanna-
let me just walk it through. So we want to, the condition is to paint the following items with a full body paint to match the existing body of the house. So then I'll list them. Just let me know when you're ready.
To match the house. Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
Ready, Alex?
Yes.
Okay, first one is the fascia of the deck and skirting. You put parentheses, everything below the finished floor of the new deck down to the grade. And then we want to include the beams, columns, and fascia and soffit of the newly proposed roof structure.
And the posts.
Yeah, columns, beams, and the railing posts. Then we're saying that the cap rail on the guardrail and the horizontal siding on the guardrail can stay a natural wood finish.
Can you live with that? No?
White.
White.
You want to paint the whole thing white.
Can you go with white?
You'd prefer it to be all white?
White.
Okay,
That's fine.
all right, paint everything white, Alex. It made my job easier. So the addition, with the exception of the floor surface of the deck, should be painted white to match the body of the house. The applicant just made it a hell of a lot easier. Thank you, man.
All right, so we have a first and a second?
Is the house white?
Yes.
Yes, it's a existing white, like off.
So everything white except for the decking itself.
Yes, sir. Actually, we could do that, so.
I have a question. Are you gonna have a access panel to the under?
Yes. Yeah, he's got it. He's got a 14 by 24 screen access.
But don't forget the vents, because I
It'll
speak
go
from
through-
experience, it'll rot in 2 years.
No, we got that.
Okay.
Right.
Building department. will
Okay,
catch
guys,
that.
let's.
Yeah. So there's a,
We're done. We've got an approval. It's good.
Okay.
it's with the
Thank you.
details in the plan, not at the as-is permit. Okay, so first and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, good.
That's it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Add your eaves. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Item number 3. All right, Laraldi addition, request of Antonio Zeeks.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Agent for Adrian and Christina Laraldi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing any of that right, but for further conceptual and preliminary approval of a 730 square foot first floor deck addition, an 84 square foot second story deck addition, an addition of approximately 62 square feet, and remodel of 1,488 square feet to the existing residence. Also, new exterior lighting, door and window changes, new garage door, and landscaping. This is a 0.22 acre parcel located at 2606 Dorking Place in Mission Canyon. Last heard, my eyes are going. Is that a 3? Yeah. March 4th of this year. Do we have the applicant here? Please state your name for the record.
Yes, here I am. My name is Tony Zcase. Good morning. I'm here with the other members of our team, the owner, the interior designer, landscape architect, etc. If you guys could introduce yourselves, that'd be helpful.
This is Adrian Laraldi. I'm the homeowner, and I just wanted to add one quick little comment from last time when we were presenting, is that when we bought this house back in July, I think it was probably one of the ugliest houses on the block, and our intention and still continues to be, is make it one of the most beautiful houses on the block. And we'll go over all your comments here that you mentioned last time, but I just wanted to keep that as our main goal. We really want to beautify this property.
Okay, thank you. And you have other folks, we need names of people
Yes.
who
So
applicants.
I have my landscape architect, Alwyn Kingery, that's on the call, and then also my interior designer, Chris Moore, as well.
Okay, so there's many comments from last time. Do you want me to just read through those, or do you want to take them?
Yes, if you could, that'd be helpful.
Well, why don't, I mean, you've already read through them. We've already. Why don't you just tell us what changed?
Okay, so I think one of the major deals last time was that these plans were not really ready to submit. So there's a lot of comments that have been taken care of. The changes to residents are acceptable according to SBAR comments. Made the drawings a little bit more accurate as far as like showing the slope of the property in relation to the deck. And I'm not sure, but I think the deck was in a different configuration last time. And we ran into problems as far as like the setback issues. So we extended the deck over to the west side a little bit. And so I'm not sure if this was the current configuration of the deck that we looked at last time. So that's been updated. So need a landscape plan. We got a landscape architect on board. We have skirting around that deck, and we can show you that on the elevations as they come up.
Tony, one thing I just, because I know that our planner, Kevin, had mentioned this, I just wanted to add this before you move on from the deck. The plans that were submitted to you, there was an error in the square footage of the total deck. It should be 956 square feet. And I believe it's listed there as 703 square feet. So please make a note of that.
Yeah, correct. We just noticed that this morning. So we updated the plans. The plans that you have are updated now.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, I think we can move this along. I think we should ask for public comment and then we come back and give these guys more opportunity. But I'm reading the notes and looking at the drawings. I don't see much here to talk about.
Okay. Seems like we're, yeah. So if the applicant team is okay with that, it seems like we want to try and, move this along, unless you have anything specific you want to share last.
Yeah, I think the main thing was to provide a landscape plan. So we've done that. And if you want to look at the landscape plan, I think it's the last sheet.
And so maybe the landscape architect can do a quick overview of what is being presented.
I think she's muted. Alwyn, are you there? I see you here, but I think you're muted.
Hi there. Yes, I'm trying to get an area where you can't hear background noise. Hold on, please.
I didn't hear any background noise. Okay, well, I think we're looking at it. So
Page 19. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello. Yes, this is Alwyn.
Oh, just a really brief summation of what you do with the landscape, please.
Yes. Good morning. Thank you so much. What I have proposed here is landscaping that will screen the deck, the lower side of the deck, and also grow up a bit taller, give a bit of to both the neighbors and to residents, so that they're not viewing necessarily the street that's just adjacent to their deck. I have included plant material that is reflective of the area and doing well in the area. The agave attenuata, of course, is a mainstay of Santa Barbara, along with a lot of succulents and drought-tolerant, colorful plant material. Mostly low-growing. We've added a couple trees in there to give some sense of scale and height instead of everything being at one elevation with the plant material.
Okay, quick question. Are you kind of screening from Cheltenham, and why not also screen from the driveway? It seems like you'd want that for privacy.
Sure, yes, already screening there. You'll see on the plan that there's existing material on the inside, and that a lot of that is plumbago, and it's already about 5 feet tall or
Okay.
so. So they're already screened from the other side and from the corner.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, what are those three trees?
They're robinias, I think, right?
Robinia, what is that? It's a medium-sized tree?
It's a locust, yeah, medium size, fast growing.
I have a comment.
Go ahead. Well, we're not comments yet. So is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this item? No, there's not, because there's no attendees, no one in the audience. So back to the board for comments. Mr. Verdiak.
Yeah, I know this is, you're in preliminary stage here, but some of your details need to be looked at. I think that, you know, they're not waterproof, like your number 8 window sill has some butt joints there that are inherently not waterproof. You should look at those. And, you know, you should create a drip condition on your detail 9 and 8, which is the seal, I believe. Right.
Take care of that. Sure, I'm prepared to make a motion if there's no other.
Okay, well, does anyone have any comments?
No, but I think the applicant has responded very well to our comments. This is a much better presentation than what we saw before. I just have a minor detail that the applicant may want to take a look at. On the north elevation, if you go to slide 7, please. You know, it seems like the deck still is a little bit high in there. Not a big deal, but
Which one, Alex?
I'm talking about, sorry, let me point it. It seems that this area right here is still a little bit out of scale, just a little bit. I suggest to make the, either to drop it 1 step.
Zoom in.
Yeah, you can zoom into this, yeah, there we go. Go up, yeah, there we go. Yeah, like either to have a step going down into the deck, or maybe make the deck structure a little bit thicker, or just to, I don't know. It's just a minor detail, but it seems like everything else is going so well in this house. You may want to address that as well.
Okay, Mr. Bloomer.
So I'd like to make a motion for preliminary approval with couple of comments. One, to study the detailing, to incorporate better waterproofing measures. 2, the driveway is not accurately drawn on the site plan. It needs to reflect the driveway that's drawn on the floor plan. And Alex, how do I summarize your comment?
Study the detailing of the north balcony or porch, right?
Okay, so we term with detailing of the balcony porch.
Yeah, the balcony on the north elevation.
Other than that, I think the comments have been resolved adequately. Unless there's something about the landscaping I'd like to see, I think that would be my motion.
Okay. Good with that?
Yeah, I think the landscape.
Okay, we have a first, we have a second.
I'll second.
Second by Val. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Is this to return to full board or consent?
No, consent.
Consent. It wasn't stated by the firster. Mr. Bloomer?
I'm fine with it coming back.
Okay, so this is to return on consent. Okay, for final.
Thank you so much.
All right, good, thanks. Item 4.
I have to refuse.
Okay, this is the Maximum Orbiter Incorporated Saga Incorporated Cannabis Cultivation Carpinteria. Request on behalf of the property owner, Winfred Van Wingerden, for preliminary and final approval of approximately 186,813 square feet of mixed light cannabis cultivation in an existing permitted greenhouse. It includes an increase in height of the existing greenhouse by 6 feet for a 22-foot overall ridge height. I'm not going to go through all the details, but this is located at 485-55 Foothill Road in the Carpinteria area. Last heard October 2nd of 2020. And so, do we have the applicants here? Please state your name.
This is Alex. The planner Gwen couldn't make it today, but she did prepare a memo if you want to take a look at that.
Okay, can we pull that up? I was unable to print it out at home. Excuse me. So, thank you. So, planner comments. The proposed project was heard by SBAR on July 12th, 2019, September 18th, 2020, and October 2nd, 2020. The Planning Commission approved the proposed project on January 12th, 2022. Thank you, Alex. So the applicant, do you please state your name for the record?
Yeah, Eric Baer with AB Design Studio, and with us is Jay Higgins.
Hey, hi guys. I'll go ahead and read. There's just a few comments from our board from a while back. The board is supportive with a 3-2 vote of increasing the height of the greenhouse. However, the board is concerned that height increase is precedent setting for neighboring greenhouses. The board is also concerned with neighborhood compatibility. The focus screening along east and west entrances to property incorporate at least one tree, minimum 48-inch box in northwest corner along west driveway. And D, ensure light proposed and is shielded and placed as low as possible to limit spillover to neighboring properties. So I'll hand it over to you, Eric, and tell us what's changed. And
Okay, very good. And do we have the plans? Are we able to pull those up on Zoom?
Yeah, we're seeing them.
Very laggy today.
Yeah, okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I think for the sake of a succinct presentation, if you can navigate to page 12.
16.
Okay, great. Thank you. So commissioners, as just a refresh, given it's been a little while since we've been in front of you, this project is an ag greenhouse property. The primary purview and scope are some minor exterior alterations, primarily as-built, non-permitted construction that's been existing for quite some time. You can see on this site plan with our legend, anything that's filled with a gray hatch or solid gray fill, those are the as-built additions that are proposed to be permitted as part of this application. None of that is very visible from the public way. As you can see at the north end of the property, there's a gazebo and some additions to the existing packing house that are behind the structures, along with some additions to the back of the greenhouse at the south end of the property, which are not visible from public way. So again, as a refresher, that this property is very well screened from Foothill. There's a glimpse of view from the driveway on the western property line, as well as the driveway in more the center and eastern side of the property lines. So you have little glimpses of visibility. I'll speak directly in response to the comments that are listed in the minutes, as Chris read. So the board is supportive of the 3-2 vote of increasing the height of the greenhouse. That was a primary point of discussion. So the proposed increase in height to the greenhouse is to raise the greenhouse 6 feet to approximately 22 feet in height. If you recall, the northernmost greenhouse bays that are at essentially the front of the greenhouse as viewed from the street are already at that height. And actually, if you could navigate to page 20, I'll just speak on this item specifically. It's the very last sheet. So you can see drawing 2 shows this best. So this is looking at the west elevation. There's 3 ridges on the left side of that drawing. Those are existing greenhouses that are already up at that taller height. And then the dashed line shows the existing height of greenhouse behind those 3 ridges. And we're proposing to raise the greenhouses up as indicated. While there was a lot of discussion at the previous hearing around the raising of the height, the board was supportive in the end. Item B, board is also concerned with neighborhood compatibility. Again, that was part of the discussion, but at the end of the hearing, the board was supportive of the increase in height, given that it's not visible from public way. Also, just worth recalling that the property is surrounded by greenhouse ag properties on all three sides, and then across the road, across Foothill is also another greenhouse property. Item C, focus screening along east and west entrances to the property. If you could go back to page 10, please. The board had a specific comment to look at adding another tree that would be along the western driveway. So you can see we've proposed to add a 48-inch box minimum, another Monterey pine along that western driveway to help screen the existing greenhouse. There's lots of vegetation in front of that greenhouse. You can see indicated with some call outs there just east of that new Monterey pine. It's well screened along with a hedge, which with call out 10 that's immediately up against the greenhouse itself. So in response to the board's previous comment, we've proposed to add that one tree. And then the only other comment was to ensure that light proposed is shielded and placed as low as possible to limit spillover. If you navigate to page 7, the only proposed lighting is new security lighting, which is a requirement by the planning department as part of the cannabis cultivation. So we're proposing the shielded fixture, which you can see in the cut sheet there. And we're proposing to mount those at a height of 8 feet. So those should be downward casting and well screened from the high fences that border the property. And again, there's no residential properties immediately adjacent to this. So I think I'll keep our presentation at that, just in response to the comments in the minutes.
Okay, thank you. Back to board, questions from anyone?
What's the final material of the greenhouse walls?
The increase in height, that extra approximate 6 feet, will be a standard kind of polycarbonate greenhouse material.
And is that going to get added on, or do you replace the whole wall?
It'll be added on. They'll look to maintain as much of the existing material as possible. If there's any material that needs replacing, it would also be replaced.
And what color was it again?
Polycarbonate.
It's a transparent material color.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Okay.
Yeah, I have a question. Just curious. Is there lighting inside of the greenhouses that operates at night?
Operationally, I'm not certain. I believe there is some lighting that's down low near plant level.
I'm just curious. Thank you.
Right. There's no public comment as there's no one in the audience. So comments from the board. Anyone? No. This is, as a reminder, this is here for prelim and final.
Yeah, this has already been approved by the planning commission, right?
Yes.
I'll make a motion for preliminary and final approval as submitted.
I'll second it.
All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
Yep, that, as previously stated, item 5 is not going to be heard today. So that was our final item. And if somebody wants to make a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion for adjourn.
Alex has made a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks.
Good job.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
You don't have to buy us lunch. I need somebody to give me a ride towards the east side.
I was trying to get it